Are we good? Okay, we're live. Are we live on that camera right there, sir? Okay, we're all good. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bharat Datan. I'm the regulatory manager for Vote Solar, a nonprofit advocacy organization striving for 100% clean energy and focusing people at its center. More importantly, I am a Detroit resident living in the North End, home to both Motown and techno. Thank you. Unfortunately, today, about half an hour ago, we got some very bad news from the Energy Committee, the House Energy Communications and Technology Committee, where we heard that the community solar bills that we have been advocating for all day, House Bills 4464 and 4465, did not pass the committee.
They did not get taken up for a vote. That's different than not passing.
Yep, exactly.
Yes.
Was there a vote on it?
There was not a vote on those bills. It was not even on the agenda for this last Energy Committee hearing, which is very unfortunate for all of us to hear. We are specifically disappointed in the Democratic leadership today in the House Committee with respect to the community solar bills. Specifically, we are disappointed in Chair Scott, Representative Andrews, Whitsett, Neely, Burns, Churches, Hill, McDonald, McFall, and Herzberg for not getting this to the finish line. These community solar bills were the clearest opportunity to help alleviate high electric bills and to jumpstart the labor force. You had a duty to serve the people of Detroit, Grand Rapids, Flint, Bad Axe, Sault Ste. Marie, and countless other cities and townships, and you have not fulfilled it. Today, on behalf of myself, my North End residents, the people of Detroit, and many Michigan nonprofits, I wish to speak specifically to the Honorable Speaker of the House, Representative Joe Tate. Mr. Speaker, please bypass the committee and discharge House Bills 4464 and 4465 and support those bills for a vote.
Yes. Come on, Joe.
We already know that community solar projects unleash the power of the labor force. We already know that community solar will help us reach our goals for 100% clean energy, avoiding dirty pollution that poisons our children, our grandchildren, and our elders. Detroiters and Michiganders could have signed up for community solar subscriptions, reducing their electric bills and giving them much needed relief to support their families. Mr. Speaker, the time to act is now. In the name of justice and care for our fellow Michiganders, we ask that you discharge House Bills 4464 and 4465 and support those solar bills. Everyone here, representing our fellow communities, 5 Detroit-based organizations and 35 organizations throughout the state have signed onto a letter specifically for you, Representative. House Bills 4465 and 4464 will release us from the burden of high electric bills. 4464 and 4465 will cast off the fear of having our lights cut off. 4464 and 4465 will help struggling Detroiters and Michiganders rise from the ashes of sorrow and fight for a brighter, cleaner future. 4464 and 4465 are a beacon of hope for all of Michigan. Thank you.
Come on, Joe, do the right thing.
Next, I would like to invite Rachel Edwards Mosby, General Manager of Polar Bear Sustainable Energy Cooperative, next to speak.
Thank you, Lieutenant. I'm disappointed, folks. I'm disappointed that our representatives pay attention to the utilities more than they pay attention to us.
That's right.
We at PBSE strongly support the Senate and House bills that create a viable pathway for community solar in Michigan. These bills are crucial to our members in Highland Park, Hamtramck, and Detroit, who are often excluded from clean energy options. You know, many of these folks can't install rooftop solar. They don't have roofs that can sustain it, can't afford the upfront cost, or renters that don't have the option. Community solar programs offer a solution to providing this access to clean energy, and they also offer financial benefits like lower electricity bills. Michigan small businesses and community organizations like Polar Bear Sustainable Energy Cooperative have an opportunity with these kinds of bills to light our communities. You know, we can do it in a literal sense and a figurative sense. You know, in order for Michigan to maximize the benefits of this solar for all money that's coming down, you know, we must pass this legislation. Eagle has said about $100 million is going to go into community solar. Without these bills, where is that money going? It's going to DTE. It's going to consumers. It's going to Great Lakes. We can't let this money go to these corporate utilities. It must be in the community's hands. Passing legislation like this will kickstart renewable energy projects, will create jobs, spur competition. Come on, Republicans love the open market, don't they? Come on, let's get the competition going. It provides new economic opportunities across this great state. We urge these elected officials to support this community solar legislation. We're speaking specifically and openly to Representative Tate. Please do this. As someone who might be running for mayor of Detroit, this is legislation that will directly support your constituents in Detroit. Let us have the power to light our homes the way we want to light our homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rachel. Next up, I would like to invite the Honorable Representative Rachel Hood of Grand Rapids, one of our wonderful champions, not only for community solar, but our clean energy bills, fighting for people that struggle every day, day in and day out, to feed their families, to go to work. Representative Hood.
Thank you. I would like to first say thank you to the people behind me who are bearing through an incredibly cold wind here on the west steps of the Lansing state capitol in order to make sure that we pass these bipartisan bills as soon as possible. That's right. These are a bipartisan package, 2 bills in the House and the Senate, sponsored by both Democrats and Republicans. And yet, we continue to wait and wait again and be told to wait some more in order for these bills to be passed. And that is completely unacceptable. It is past time to get community solar done. We have been waiting for far too long. This is an easy win for Michigan. But sadly, this People First policy has been set aside as the unions fought amongst themselves, as big utilities fought to protect control over every aspect of energy production in Michigan. Speaking of the big utilities, Michigan's Democratic trifecta has given them every single thing that they wanted this term. We allowed them to call natural gas a clean energy when in fact it is a fossil fuel. We allowed them to stay cozy with their run-of-the-mill energy efficiency goals, and now they're asking us for $40 million more so that they can get more government funding to meet their energy efficiency goals on our backs. We delivered rate increase after rate increase through the Michigan Public Service Commission. We've done very little to hold them accountable for their unacceptable reliability performance, among the worst in the nation. And we've allowed them to victimize thousands of our neighbors, Michiganders who struggle without reliable energy, to do their jobs, to take their kids to school, and to just remain comfortable in their own homes. And then finally, last week we gave them data centers. With very little input from opposing members, Speaker Tate ran this bill. And now the utilities themselves have admitted in the courts that those bills will make it impossible for us to meet the clean energy goals that we ourselves set earlier this year through the Clean Energy and Climate Package. Now is time to deliver energy autonomy to the people of Michigan and to allow us to do for ourselves what the big utilities are refusing to do, which is to take care of our transmission lines and our local transmission services.
Yes.
We need to be allowed to attract hundreds of clean energy jobs directly to our communities, close to home in our cities. We need to be allowed to find private investors who will invest in energy transmission infrastructure. We need to be allowed to have affordable access to solar without a rooftop investment. We need to be allowed to have affordable energy choices. We need to be allowed to join 22 other states in innovating for clean energy. Allow us to have some control over the means through which we protect our climate future for us and for future generations. In northern Michigan, in central Michigan, where co-ops have been successful in installing community solar, we have seen energy delivered more affordably to the people of Michigan. And we need this tool in order to be competitive into the future. My colleagues pointed out that the city of Detroit needs this bill to enact their solar plans. I represent the city of Grand Rapids, and this is a top priority of our city's mayor and administration, both our current mayor and our future mayor. It is time, it's past time that we prioritize the people and not big business. In 2008, we entered into an experiment, allowing our public utilities to become quasi-private corporations. That experiment has failed the people of Michigan, as reliability and cost have continued to respectively go down and up. But community solar is one small, practical way that we can take our power back for today and for tomorrow. It's time to pass community solar now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Representative Hood. Next up, I would like to invite the Honorable Representative Donovan McKinney of Detroit, also one of our champions. As a fellow Detroiter, I really thank you so much for working for us.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here. And thank you all, seriously, in this cold weather, for coming here to Lansing, taking the track. I cannot echo enough what my chairwoman, Rachel Hood, said. We need to pass community solar right now. This should have been done not only decades ago, but it should have been done earlier this term. $156 million is on the line that the federal government has granted under the Biden administration, the Biden-Harris administration. I appreciate their extreme support for not only Solar for All programs, but ensuring that all of us transition to a clean energy economy. What they were able to do is unlock a true potential in all of us, and that is these investments in our communities that have been disinvested for so long. What's going on in the city of Detroit? And I'll tell you guys this. I have a wife at home. I have 2 baby boys. My oldest one will be 3 years old in January next month. My youngest one was born on Valentine's Day earlier this year. And literally the day I tell this story as much as I possibly can, but the day we brought home my oldest from the hospital, after my wife went through, close to 2 days in labor, we come home to flick the lights on, and guess what? The power's off. Wow. And so we had to spend my oldest son has to spend the first 5 days of his life on this earth in a hotel room. So now I have the means, right? And I wasn't elected at the time, but I had the means to put my family up in a hotel room safe and sound. But guess what? My community, right? The average median income in my current district is about $36,000. With the redistricting lawsuit that happened in my new district, it goes all the way down to $14,000. So guess what? My community doesn't have the means for a hotel room. Guess what happens with these hotel rooms? It's based on demand, right? So they increase the prices when mass fire just happens in our communities. And so I had to pay $1,700. $1,700 to stay in a hotel for that period of time. And so I'm telling you guys, this is a life or death situation for our communities. And so I want to also just echo, and again, I appreciate everybody standing in this cold weather. I barely can speak right now. My lips are trying to be frozen together. It's crazy. I'm trying to get my words out, but I'm like, look. But I have to say this. At the end of the day, this is about not only ensuring that we have a clean energy economy, but ensuring that our communities have an ability to thrive. This is about the health and wellness of our districts. This is about the health and wellness of our people. And we have to make sure that energy is not only affordable, but it's accessible. We are tired. And I'm praying to God, literally today we have a cyclone coming into the state of Michigan. There's supposed to be anywhere between 4 to 9 inches of snow that's going to hit this area. Lansing as well as Southeast Michigan and Detroit where I live. And I'm praying to God the power doesn't go out. There's not a week that goes by, especially in weather like this, that the power does not go out in our neighborhoods. The transmission lines in our communities are totally outdated, should have been invested in a long time ago and replaced. But guess what? Over 100 years old, some of these transmission lines are. That's a century. That's older than my dang old grandparents. That is, I'm going to be honest, that's despicable, okay? And it's up to, I call it seasoned vets, but I call my seniors the seasoned vets. But that's despicable because at the end of the day, we need reliability and we need to make sure this is cost effective and that the communities have access to this in the most extreme weather. Because if they don't, at the end of the day, their lives are on the line. I cannot stress that enough. But again, I appreciate so much. I want to wrap up. My fingers are cold. My mouth is trying to stick together. But thank you so much for your time and your energy. And we have to get this done. Community solar right now. Community solar. Let's get this done. Let's do it, baby. Together we will do it. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, man.
When we say justice for all, we mean justice for all. Next up, trying to get through this quickly, I would like to invite Lauren Church, Executive Director of the Michigan Clinicians for Climate Action, to speak.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me through chattering teeth. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And I want to say thank you to the other speakers, too, for really bringing this message down to the people level, because that's what I'm here to speak to. I'm representing about 400 nurses, doctors, health professionals of all types from across the state. And the message I'm going to be reading today was actually written by Dr. Elisa Del Bono, who served as a physician for 30 years before founding our organization to advocate for climate solutions that help people and address the health inequities in our state. Following a power outage, any emergency room first responder can tell you that the emergency room will flood. Affordable, reliable, clean energy is critical to protecting health, which is why we support policies that will advance independently owned community solar to improve grid reliability and expand access to affordable, dependable, clean energy and promote economic justice. Fossil fuel pollution is making Michigan residents sick today, and for those on the front lines, has done so for decades. This is particularly true in low-income urban areas in which air pollution results in hundreds of premature deaths, thousands of hospitalizations related to heart and lung disease, and millions of missed school days due to asthma every year. I've heard our members tell stories about losing patients because of asthma in the wake of the Canadian wildfire smoke that went through our state. So these are real impacts right now. Reports have shown that the communities living closest to this pollution also pay the highest energy costs for the most frequent and longest lasting outages. And as you know, Michigan currently has the highest energy rates of the Great Lakes states with the worst reliability in the Midwest. Community solar will increase the resilience and the reliability of our grid, and from the health perspective cannot be underestimated. Oxygen-dependent patients can experience devastating consequences, including death, while trying to connect to an alternate source of oxygen. And it's an issue for everyone, which we can all feel today, what it feels like to be stuck in the cold, how that's a health concern. Lastly, in addition to zip code, socioeconomic status is a major determinant of health outcomes. For individuals whose energy bills take a significant proportion of their budget, that's money not being spent on medication, on healthy foods, and on preventative health measures. The connection between good health outcomes and access to affordable, reliable energy is such a big concern that in states like Massachusetts, which have community solar bills that allow third-party solar, there are avenues for healthcare providers to prescribe clean energy to energy insecure patients through hospital-owned solar panels. That's what's possible if we pass these bills. Unfortunately, we in Michigan cannot reproduce such an innovative solution without this legislation that didn't make it out of committee today. It is past time for Michigan to join the ranks of 19 other states who have already passed these types of bills. And I'll just end by saying that climate change is the largest threat to our public health worldwide, and we need all tools on the table to address it. These are fundamentally health issues, and we urge our legislators to please show up for the health of your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. From Detroit to Highland Park to Grand Rapids to Marquette, all of our communities there, all of our hospitals, we need these bills to pass. Next up, I would like to invite the Honorable Pontiac Councilman, Mikhail Goodman, to speak.
Yes, shout out to my friend Sean Preston back in Pontiac for all of the stuff I'm wearing today. Because I do want to really make this a very Pontiac-centric conversation a little bit. As someone who has been born and raised in the state of Pontiac, who currently is a city of 60,000 people that has an average income ranging from $20,000 to $30,000, right? As has been pointed out before, cities like Pontiac, like Detroit, like Highland Park, are the ones most directly affected when we have unreliable energy, when we have these power outages. These are the communities where people do not have the ability to pay for a hotel to keep themselves warm. They don't have the ability to rent or pay for a generator to keep their house warm or keep their medical equipment going. And all these things that we're talking about are, related directly to our energy grid, to our conversation around climate. But more importantly, the vote that happened today shows that with all these compounding issues, with all these things that affect different groups of people, different areas of our lives, that some of these politicians do not care enough. That they do not care enough to take the decisive action that is necessary, because this is not a very difficult thing. We're not asking for the entire municipalization of Michigan's energy grid, at least not yet. What we're asking for is for community solar, a thing that has been done in so many different places across this country, across this world, to be able to better meet the needs of our community. I mean, the fact that we have one of the most unreliable energy providers anywhere in the country, charging the highest rates that we can possibly find, but yet we have a legislature that has so many members that are taking money from them that they refuse to take action when it is very clear that there is a problem happening with our energy providers and the quality of services that they provide for our people. It is really disheartening that, in these moments where we are transitioning into a new climate, right, we are not going to be able to have this trifecta of power. This is our last reasonable grasp to be able to do things. We've been asking for months for many different things to happen, some of which may be more difficult than what has been asked for by the people today. And just to find out that, less than an hour or so ago, that the bills that we're talking about weren't even brought to be discussed is not just disappointing. It feels like a slap in the face to not only the people who stand behind me, but every single resident who has to go find a warming center, every single resident who has to go find a cooling center during the summer, every single resident who has to find a way to make sure that their grandmother has their medical equipment still going, keeps their insulin cool, as I have had to do as an elected official, as other people have had to do. The fact that we are standing out here in the freezing cold, begging for what we think is a very simple fix, a very simple ask to put us on the track to make a difference, not only for the people who live in Black and brown, poor, working class inner city communities like Pontiac and Detroit and Benton Harbor, but also the communities like Bloomfield Hills, who also do not want to have their power going out because our energy providers cannot do their job. I think that it is very incumbent, very important for leadership to take a strong, decisive action and bring these bills directly to the floor to be voted on, because this is their last real chance with the trifecta to be able to make some tangible change. And for them to not do it, in my opinion, is absolutely disgusting. And I hope that they do something about it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And we're going to round it out with the great Will Lawrence with The Rent is Too Damn High. Take it home for us.
Thank you. All right, thanks everybody. My name is William Lawrence. I'm from here in Lansing. I'm with the Rent is Too Damn High Coalition. Before that, I was a climate advocate for about 15 years, working for climate justice and transitioned to equitable renewable energy. Now I organize with other renters and tenants around the state. And I just want to say that we have established and we are living in a two-tier system for access to and ownership of renewable energy. Renters are excluded, and that's not right.
That's right.
I want to extend my solidarity as someone who has mostly been working on another package of bills, a Tenants' Bill of Rights in this legislature, to all of you who are fed up and frustrated with this Democratic trifecta legislature, especially its leadership. You are not alone. We have been fighting for these bills for the last 2 years, and we, like you, frankly, have gotten nothing but excuses from leadership, from the governor, and from some key committee chairs. All they've got is excuses, and I'm sick of it. They have lost the plot. They have forgotten what it takes to show up for voters and win elections. And we saw the results of that this November. As a Democrat, you have to show up for poor and working and middle-class people. You have to do it. And if your colleagues are standing in the way because they're taking campaign contributions from DTE and from the landlords and from the rest of the corporations, you got to put these bills on the board. You got to put them on the board and make them take the tough votes and say, no, we stand against these working class priorities. But instead, all we hear is excuses. They're hiding behind the narrow majority, and they're using it as an excuse for their own inaction. It seems like that's actually what leadership wants. I'll tell you just one quick story. I was here yesterday. There were about 200 union firefighters standing outside the House chamber. I think they had 300 or 400 picketing. They had hundreds standing outside the House chamber, putting in slips, wanting to speak to their legislators. And almost every legislator, I know there were a few exceptions, but almost every legislator gave the union firefighters the cold shoulder. Those union firefighters were walking out of this building disappointed and fed up because they, like us, couldn't get a fair hearing. That is not right. You're a Democrat and you can't even show out for the union firefighters. What are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, throw us a bone. Throw us a bone. They gotta throw us a bone. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot more hungry and angry dogs out here. That's what I can guarantee as we move forward. So we're here for community solar right now, so I'll bring it home. Speaker Tate discharged this community solar bill, along with so many other important bills that are needed for renters, for poor and working class people all across this state, so that we can keep moving forward, fighting to build a better life for ourselves and our neighbors in this state. Thank you.
All right, it's time for us to go back inside from this cold, but our fight never ends. Solidarity forever!